Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there, and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick, and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m. Please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com, and now all over social media on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsors for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotics, natural, organic, and allergen-free, and an icon right on our webpage, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Just click on Livia One Probiotics. And Raycom Radios, reliable two-way commercial radios without all the inherent limitations of your other communication systems. And coming up, we're going to have a nice calendar of events. We're going to do a couple of seminars, go to the yacht clubs, and some real exciting news for that coming up. I want to tell everybody about some real exciting stuff. The whole month of May, we're going to be promoting the Armed Forces Parade. Featured branch is the Army, 250th anniversary of the Army. The Torrance Armed Forces Parade, the oldest, longest running, one of the most prestigious Armed Forces parades, celebrating all of our active duty, our reserve, and all our vets. Fantastic 3-day event on Armed Forces Day weekend. That's April 17th. A 5K that morning, sponsored by the Chamber. Following week is Fleet Week. Fleet Week is at the Battleship, Iowa. An amazing event. That's a 4-day event. Last year, 35 to 50,000 people showed up every day. The Navy's got some ships, the Coast Guard. They got a fire station where they've got the oldest boat from the turn of the century that patrol the harbors. We'll talk all about that, have some great guests. But today we have a great guest for you. So Gary from Kids Christian Fishing Club, thanks for joining Captain Rick on the Boating Hour.
Hi, Captain Rick. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. We had your friend Wade last week, so we talked all about being in San Pedro and fishing, and he's one of my good friends. So I'm glad we talked about you a little bit on the show. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about what you do. So tell us, what do you do? What is KidsChristianFishingClub.org, right? www.KidsChristianFishingClub.org. What is the Kids Christian Fishing Club?
Well, I got the idea of getting to our youth, to helping our youth with the death of my son, who died from fentanyl on March 4th, 2012, just a few days from now. No dad or parent is supposed to outlive their kids. And it was hard and still is hard for me. So I do and think and was thinking a lot of, so what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to stop people from dying from drug overdoses? And my main thought, first it came to doing drug rehabs. I had the means to do whatever I wanted at that time. And I researched that for a couple of years. But to make my story short here, I found out that in the long run, you only save about 2% of kids that are strung out on opioids.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it just, it broke my heart when that was the harsh truth, Rick. And so after my research, it just wasn't enough for me. It just wasn't enough. I suppose some people may think that if you save one kid, that's a lot, and it is, and it's a wonderful thing. But I'm trying to figure out how to possibly save a lot of kids. So being that I'm a fisherman, and being I've fished around the world several times, tournaments, I've had a boat in Dana Point Harbor, in an Oceanside Harbor for over 15, 20 years. and loved to fish. We fished every Saturday with my friends, rain, snow. Of course, it doesn't snow,
Okay.
but every Saturday. And I'm talking with the guys and going, I still need to do something for Sean. And we start talking, and it came up to, well, Gary, you love to fish. You enjoy it. Why not do a kids' fishing club? And that didn't sink in at first, but we talked about it every Saturday in length. And then I start researching that, and there wasn't really any to speak of fishing clubs. So it ended up where I decided to move forward with that. So I got the 501c3 nonprofit, took care of that. It's totally legit. And start putting together a business plan for Kids Christian Fishing Club.
God, that's an amazing story. I really like that. We had Dave Estes, who's done the Fish Report, been a guest many times. He does something similar. He's a coach. He's a fisherman and loves it. Takes kids out, and sometimes as a reward, but he's had kids that were troubled kids, and by the time he's done with them, they're great kids, doing well in school and having fun with the families. I've seen that transition, and it really is amazing to see that. And I know that every one of my fishermen friend, and I've got quite a few, and a lot are listening to the show. I had last week your friend Wade on, and it's amazing because fishermen want to take their friends and neighbors and families out there. That's a great thing you're doing for your son. His name was Sean?
Sean Bobel, yes.
Wow. It really, that's a good introduction to how you started this, and it's a great name. You really, Kids Christian Fishing Club, .org. You can't get a better name than that. I was not a troubled kid, but I was a kid that got into trouble. So I caused a lot of trouble, and what saved me was going sailing, the Scouts. I was, very active in the Scouts. I used to actually sing in church choir, and I did that as a young kid, the local Jewish kid, trying to meet all the beautiful girls. So I would sing, and all my friends that were part of churches, I would accompany them to go to their church to sing in church choir. Here I am, a Jewish kid singing in church choir. So, I think
that's great.
Yeah, the activities is, when I was involved in activities, I wasn't causing trouble. So I like that idea. So how long have you been going? How long has your organization been going? I mean, is it brand new?
It's brand new. It's still in the kickstart.
Okay, great.
Part, but the idea is to, as you said, get kids off the street, bring them into a safe haven for after school and on weekends, up to 150 kids, girls and boys, from 7 to 18.
Wait, how many kids can go out of, what boat are you taking them fishing on?
Oh, no. We need a clubhouse, Rick.
Oh,
I had it laid out to have a building, and believe it or not, it fell through 3 weeks ago. I waited for that building for a year because the price was so good, and it was a huge building, and it really met our needs. So now I have to find another building.
Well, maybe I'd like to help you with that. I know what I'd love to help you with is going to the different church groups and and plugging and promoting you and trying to do some wonderful things. Because really, I think if you get kids out there and you get them fish, one of my slogans when I end my show is there's nothing like being out there in the water in the fresh air and sunshine. Everything changes.
Well, it's true.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing. You get out there. I like going out in small dinghies and having the dolphins come up to me, and you heard about swimming with the dolphins. Well, if you're in a dinghy and you're in Marina Del Rey and you go out, by the jetty, the north or south entrance, a lot of people have had the experience with dolphins follow them. So I like that experience. I like big boats, but usually when you're on a bigger boat, they put you to work. That's one of
well, eventually, I definitely want to get a boat, a party boat. Now, we're in Oceanside, California, and I've been to the harbor master, and he says, well, Gary, when you guys can get a boat, I'll give you a discounted slip for 4 years. And that made me feel very happy. You know, but in the interim, what our thing is, after we get a clubhouse, which is number one important, we'll be fishing from the piers, from the harbor, from the lagoons, the lakes and streams, because we're going to do both salt and freshwater fishing. The clubhouse will be for kids to come after school and on weekends.
God, I like that story. You know, I am not a good fisherman. I used to like going out.
We can help with that.
Yeah, I got to come out and volunteer and help you. I used to like going with my dad. My dad was, and a lot of his friends were, one of my dad's best friends. He has a record in the Guinness Book of World Record using the smallest line to catch the biggest fish. His name was Stu Kestner. I wonder if he's still in there. I used to like going out, and when we would travel, my dad and I would go to any marina, fish off the rocks. If I catch fumes on a small boat, I get seasick. When I'm on a bigger boat, that's not a problem. So those are but I'm not a good fisherman. I'm not good at filleting. In my history is I had a lot of friends, and of course my father, a lot of his friends were fishermen and sailors. And I've got a great fish story. Listen to this fish story. When I was a young kid, I went to camp. I went up to the Sequoias, and this was a scout camp. And my grandma, she loved trout. So I did real good in the lakes because that's a lot of fun. And I caught a trout, and I brought the trout. Got a couple of them. I fed the group, and I froze a trout in a milk carton, and I hid it in the camp freezer, and I hid it the whole time because I knew I was going to take that, the following week when we're going home. I wanted to bring it to my grandma, so I froze it, and we were on the bus coming back. It was a long ride back. We were up in the Sequoias, and somewhere's about halfway back, the ice melted, and I had little planned. I had it hidden in with a towel and in a little bag, and all of a sudden, I had to fight off all the boys and girls from the bus. They wanted to throw that out the window, and by the time, it was probably comic, but to hear my parents tell the story to people, I don't know how old I was. 7, 8 years old, something like that. Maybe not, I don't know. It was a long time ago, but I remember the parents. They're all there to greet the kids, to take them home, and the kids were jumping out the windows and flying out the front door, opening up the emergency doors, all wondering what the heck. Little Ricky had his frozen fish thawed out on the bus. That's my great trout story. My family is mostly passed, so they don't tell that at dinner engagements. But that was my trout fishing. But, I think that this is a great idea. I want to help and promote you. I'd like to – I talk to people that periodically say they have, big boats that would make a good party boat or a fishing boat. Well, let me ask you about your history. How did you start? Did you grow up in a fishing family?
Well, I did, and it was in Pennsylvania. And my dad and grandfather used to take me to the rivers there, and there's some beautiful lakes also. And essentially, they taught me how to fish. And I've got a funny story for you, too. Once they were doing that, my mom, to babysit me, this is when I was really young, would dirty up a bucket and hand me a pole with a line on it. And I would sit there for hours, Rick. It was like she babysitted me. And anyway, that lasted for, I don't think, very long. But anyway, it's a fun story. I grew up fishing. I had a little trap line when I was a kid in Pennsylvania. And we moved out to California. And then from there, I would go on to the party boats. out of Newport, Davies Locker, and we'd go to Catalina. And then when got a little older, we would go down to San Diego, H&M Landing, Point Loma Landing. And as time went on and I got a little more successful, I bought a boat and I had it up in Dana Point Harbor. And then we moved to Oceanside, and I had an old twin diesel that I had in the slip, and I sold that and bought a brand spanking new Parker.
Oh, what a nice boat.
At the Del Mar Fishing Show, and it was a 2820, and I had that boat for 15 years there. We would move it down to San Diego, Shelter Island, every spring, and I would sublet my slip in Oceanside, and we'd keep the boats just so we were closer to the fish, the warmer, bigger fish down in San Diego. So that's what I've done with fishing. I've fished around the world, a lot of tournaments, Hawaii, Mexico. I've fished Australia. It's beautiful. Anyway, it's in my blood. You're so right. You never forget your first fish you caught.
No, you
Every
don't.
single kid will remember that first fish. And it led to what I'm doing now. And I feel so gifted and blessed to be able to do what I'm trying to do, which is help our underprivileged kids.
Well, I tell you, all the kids. I'm going to tell you, some of the privileged kids need more help. Their parents ignore them.
You're right there. We're even going to pick them up in some cases where they're too far away from the clubhouse. We'll pick them up and take them home. We'll feed them if they're hungry. I worked out a thing with Maricosa College here. It's a great junior college. We're partners with them. And they promised to give me tutors.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So they're going to furnish all the tutors that we're going to need for after school on weekends. And they get college credits for that, which is really great. When the kids come in, Rick, they'll look at the board and see what activities are going on, but they will have the option to go in to the separated study hall, if you will, and work with the tutors, their homework essays. And you know how kids love to be. They love prizes. They love gifts. They love, just to help incentivize them. Well, we're going to give them great things for good grades. We're going to give them better things for better grades. We're going to try to make them as smart as we can.
Well, kids want to be acknowledged, and I'll go back to my grammar school days. I remember my grammar school days like it was yesterday. I can close my eyes, and it was literally like it was yesterday. My grammar school had detention on Saturday mornings. And one of the things that happened, and I would, I'm not going to tell you, but you're going to have to guess whether I was in detention a lot. But one of the things that they did, they had all kinds of activities. So if you were in the detention room, you had extra homework, you had to sit there, but outside the window, and they had the one class where you had the window that showed the whole back of the school, the playground, all the activities. Kids were playing there. You had to sit in there and get through the homework. If you didn't finish what they gave you, you had to come back the following week. And you looked outside and watched. Next door to us was the arts and crafts room. And there were kids and parents doing arts and crafts, from kindergarten to sixth. Frank D. Parent. I'm in the alumni. I have a shirt that I just got, a class of. I'm not going to tell you a class of. I just ordered one. It was a great, absolutely great school. So if you were in detention, you didn't want to be in detention. You wanted to come out on Saturday, be with your friends, and they should put that in every school. They should have activities on the weekend like we did when we were kids. And we would have kids from college. That's a great idea what you're doing, because teachers would come from colleges, prospective college kids that wanted to be teachers, and get their hours and their teaching assistant, prerequisites done. And I remember tutors and, a lot of the teachers had that. You might start a trend where college kids are coming out and starting to help. We need that. We need our activities at our schools where our kids on the weekend stop sitting, at the television or on their Game Boy or on their phone and get out there and go fishing or doing activities. You've started something that, I really hope takes off, and I want to help you do it. And I'm going to come down there. You can teach me to be a good fisherman, although all my fisherman friends are telling me that. And I really enjoy it.
We'll teach you to be a fisherman, Rick. We'll teach you how to tie knots.
That I know how to do. I'm a good knot tier.
Well, that's a good thing. But we're going to teach our kids, all of them, to tie knots, to cast, we're going to have a course for wrapping rods. Those fancy rods with all those nice wraps.
I'll tell you something. At the Bart Hall, who has continued the legacy that his father built, in 1947, he was my New Year's show. And I'm going to be promoting the Hall shows year-round. He had the Long Beach show, the Pomona show. He's got some exciting stuff coming up next year. It'll be a lot more exciting next year. But they had a fish tying contest. They had some presentations. Turner's, of course, was there. And a lot of boats. Some of the boat dealers sold a lot of boats. I was in love with the Chris Craft, the center console. And actually, the Robalo is a fantastic boat. And the guy that does the fish report, I mentioned him, Dave Estes, has a Mahalo Robalo. And we had Wade on there, but Wade's got a different boat. He's got a really big, expensive boat. It's absolutely beautiful. And he told me in last week, when he has a fish, he calls it a $5,000 fish that you're eating, because he says when he fires up his boat, takes people out, by the time he's done, that's what it costs him. But I've talked about the fisheries, the fish hatcheries, because we're rebuilding the fish, the bass hatcheries. We've replenished the oceans, and it goes clear down to Mexico. Miles came on the show a couple weeks ago. We're going to have him back on. He's going to be talking about he's with the Marina del Rey Anglers, and he's going to talk about the Halibut Derby coming up first week of June. So the Halibut Derby, first week of June. Miles will be back on the show to talk and promote about that. We're going to be promoting the Armed Forces Day Parade, which is May 17th. And the following week, Fleet Week, we're going to be promoting the Coast Guard, even though they're not the featured branch. You can see them all weekend, including the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We're going to have all kinds of great guests coming up in April and May. And stay tuned. We got all kinds of exciting stuff. Well, I want to thank you, Gary, for coming on. I want to promote and help you with the kids, ChristianFishingClub.org. Gary Babel, did I say your name right? And I want to send my condolences out. And what you're doing in honor of your son, Sean, is absolutely amazing. And I see good things coming from you. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Rick. And I hope enough people will see my vision and go to our website and contact me to help us be successful. That would be wonderful. And I sure appreciate you. We will help you to fish.
Yeah, we got to do that. Well, that's all the time that we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed our show. As always, we're so very fortunate. Yeah, we're so very fortunate to have a great guest. You've been a great guest for us, Gary. Appreciate it. And let's not forget the Coasties protecting our waters, America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. Remember, if you do it right and follow the guidelines and all the safety precautions, there's no place like being out there on the water in the fresh air and sunshine in beautiful, sunny Southern California. And talk about the following the guidelines and safety precautions, Suddenly in Command class by the Coast Guard Auxiliary. If you'd like us to come out and do one for your club, we'd be happy to do it. Thanks to our sponsors for the show today, For a Healthy Gut, Livia One Probiotics, and Raycom Radios. Don't forget to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com. Keep your emails coming. This is Captain Rick saying ahoy and fair winds, all.